So, Gary, as I've said before, it's a brave film, almost needless to say, and one of the bravest documentaries I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of documentaries in my time. I want to ask, what kind of toll did the making of the film take on you? I mean, was it, I can see from your smile, it did take something of a toll.
Well, having a habit for 20 years wasn't easy, and then making a film at the tail end of having a habit was always going to either make or break me. And I think like the last 2 years, like one of the last 5 weeks or something, I've entered a stage that they call recovery. So like for the last 20 years I've pretty much lived my life like the way I wanted to, and now I'm sort of just, I don't know, just about killed me. But they say where I come from, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that's what I'm sort of trying to focus on today. You know, just being stronger, like mentally, but like creatively as well. So like all the shit that you see in the film is just a moment captured in time. That's not really what's important. Like raising the issues is obviously the reason it was made. Do you know what I mean? Like talking about abuse, talking about addiction. Like humans are very talkative by nature, but as a society, we're pretty much suppressed when it comes to having like a real voice.
Would you say in a way it was a self-administered art therapy that you were involved with?
Not intentionally. Like I live and breathe making films. Like it's what I do. So I think like a lot of people that I jump about with are rappers. So like if I looked at like the way Eminem came out in 8 Mile, so he says all the shit that was bad for him first. And if half the shit that I've done in there, the evening news, I'm going to turn and say, well, he smoked heroin once, like I can't also. I smoked heroin. So like coming out with all that, sort of washing my laundry in public, makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to walk down the street. As I say, like this is the first ever time that I've not sat and watched it by an audience, and the reason that I've done that is probably because I'm such in an early stage of recovery. It's not because I want to leave here and go and take something, but why risk it? And now, like it's every time I went in Norway, Germany, all the places with the film, and when I done it, or I was on DFs and I was on Valium, or I could take stuff to block emotions, and I could sit and watch how it was edited, and I could sit and watch for the mistakes as a piece of film that people are watching, obviously. And I can count them now, like 37 mistakes that I've made in editing. There's just so much shit that. So that's what used to get me through the screens before. It wasn't watching me speaking to my dad, admitting to getting abused or whatever happened when I was younger. People call it abuse, so I didn't even like. I think I spoke to a guy in America called Andrew Vax. He's like a best-selling author, and he wrote me like a big massive email, and that was like quite mad, kind of like something in America. He was like so established, and he was talking to me like that's everything that happens now is just a small part, kind of like nothing defines you. And I feel like that's what they were like calling abuse or that, but like looking at all that shit, it doesn't define me who I am sitting here. Do you know what I mean? So like,
pass the mic over to Mara. What did you learn in making this film? And you can take that from the professional level, personal level, both?
Personally.
Yourself, yes.
I think I learned that when there are stories that are important to tell, you just have to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Because it changed us all. Not only, you know, Gary went through a very difficult journey to making the film. Obviously it changed him. It changed the whole crew in the way possibly mainstream television deal with stories it would have never happened. So we have to all work as a team, you know, to support Gary in order to make it happen. But then also it's exciting when you see that we also touch audiences. So it's like it's a full circle, yeah? Then we all just get connected, and then we realize, fucking, you know, we're all just the same actually. Just happened that some people had it difficult, more difficult than others. And that's why I think this story is so important. So how it changed me is that I feel that we have achieved something that it was important to us, and to become more tolerant as well, because we have to be very tolerant. So that's why it touched me, because we fell out a few times and I fucking hated him a few times, and he fucking hated me a few times, and we were in this, you know, struggle a few times. But we did, you know, came together at the end, and, you know, we became friends through the process after all. So in that sense, I think I'm a better person for it.
Wow, that's quite an achievement, Gary. What changes did you observe in Gary over the making of the film? And I don't want to prompt anything that's going to have you two fall out again. But,
No, I mean, obviously changes are to do with us. We make changes, we make decisions how we change. And I'm not really, you know, I don't know only Gary knows, really how this experience has changed him. But I do know it has touched Gary, because we, through the journey of the film, obviously dealing with a filmmaker who is still taking drugs, it's a big issue. How do you schedule around that? How do you plan the unpredictable? And how do you become tolerant in a way, to support it? So, because you have a commitment as a producer, I have to deliver, obviously. We have agreements with people who invested in the film. And so, what I have seen then, to answer the question, I'm not going in a round circle to answer it, but what I have seen is that, Gary has become like more in touch with himself, has been taking control of his own life, which when you are institutionalized, you just feel that somebody else is going to solve your problem. But suddenly when you take in your own hands, like, I'm taking control of my life, achieving something is so important. He made this film happen, he wanted this film happen. And when you see a positive result, so they actually touch others as well, I'm sure, that is what's making Gary even stronger now. You have gone through lots of shit, obviously you have, and it's okay to swear, I suppose, after listening to this film, for goodness sake. But, and as you say in the film, before you go into Birthlink, what doesn't kill you, it definitely makes you stronger.
The Scottish Mental Health Arts and Film Festival often looks at people who are affected by people who are dealing with issues. I mean, they become affected themselves, with family members, carers, people who work with people who have issues. And I was wondering if it was difficult for you, Amira, at times, being exposed to this challenging subject matter as well. Did you find it hard on a personal level? Having to hear Gary's story and what he went through.
As a human being, you do get affected, knowing that, that we can be so vulnerable. And we call it Everybody's Child. We talk about, you originally called the film, what was it? It was a Scottish word. Nobody's burn. And we didn't use it because a few people will have problems with it. Like, I have problems, there you go. And I'm foreigner, of course I will have, I'm not from Scotland. It did affect me, and the way, how a few times it's dealing with, obviously, a community. Like when we went to this space with the children, what is happening is that, we are so, the anger, is a bit like we are scared, but it comes through just lack of love, which God is giving plenty of to his own children, you see it. And so does Angela, you see a big difference in his family, because Gary and Angie have given these children so much love, and they are giving everything they got. And that touches you, when you are in a community with so many young people, they are so angry, and you just want to do something. I say, you are so beautiful, listen, it's all right, it's okay, But how, it sounds like a little bit patronizing, but I just felt this is what is lacking, not somebody saying to somebody like so young, it's okay, girl, you're beautiful, I love you, I know it's okay to love you. And so sometimes I used to go home, really feeling affected by it, and thinking the following day, all right, how are we going to deal with the next step?
What's happening here with Gary and his work?
What I see is that the media used almost in its highest form, because it's illuminating, because it tells a story stories that can't be told, that are too dangerous to know, that are too difficult to tell. If you look at these young people that were in that film, they've all got stories. They've all got stories, not the same as Gary's, but parallels. There are parallels everywhere. And what the most beautiful thing for me about this film, I think, is looking at Gary's kids. Because that's the future, that's transcendence, and that's the power of filmmaking, its capacity to show a lens on that. Because what this guy's done, and huge respect, Gary, is that he's turned something into something else. And to me it's a precious, precious privilege to be shown that. There are many, many times with many, many kids that I've worked with in the past where I've had to hold that hope because it wasn't there. So you hold it in your hands and it's a precious thing, and you hold it and you hold it and you hold it because you say, you can do this. It's doable. It's turnable around. But to see somebody just doing it is a rare, rare privilege, and I think that's just what the camera does. And the beauty of it too is that you've given other young people that tool.
Well, I do want the people that can't get into college. I want the people that just don't think there's a fucking point. You know what I mean? Like, we live in such a fucked up world where like people are working in pound savers for shit wages, and it's constantly like that. And then they go back, eat a shit diet, and then who when they turn to drugs, they're fucking killing themselves just for diet. But we didn't get taught any of this stuff. I went in Norway, Germany with this film, didn't eat the way I ate. I thought if I went to Iceland and I was eating and feeding the bairns Iceland and we're filling the fridge up to like 80 quid messages and that were doing Barry. That wasn't the case. We're fucking killing them. Like, the colour in their skin was brutal, and that's not just me, that's like so many other families. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not what I'm going to do with them, it's what we're going to do with them.
Well, that's a perfect point to get some questions here. Anyone have some questions?
That you'll get that support that you deserve. I hope that Muirhouse and various other parts of Edinburgh get that recognition and funding put in, because I think you said the last time, and I agree with you totally, that somewhere, you know, similar to Muirhouse is so different from when's the last time I saw you was, you know, at the West End. It's like another world, and I know that world. So good luck with all your endeavours, and that's about it. Well done.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it.
Any other questions here? Yes.
I'll just shout.
Sure.
How did you decide to go to Telford to start filming? What made you decide to do that?
I started a course called Transition. I was on a methadone program. I just came off the crack in that, and that Ian Rankin, the guy that does, this is a funny story, the guy that writes books or whatever, Ian Rankin, he was like, I've got a short story competition, and a couple of my mates were in the jail, and I never had any parcels, and I wasn't touching drugs to send them, kind of like I was just in a government methadone program, so I wasn't like smart and that. So I thought I'll do something, because we were on the digger down in Dumfries, and I was like, I need to give them something, like, and I thought I'll just send them stories. So I think I dropped out about 15, 16 properly, but I stopped for all the madness, and then I just started writing, and I wrote this short story called Monster Within, and I never put whose name it was who, so there was competition, and there was my short story, and I sent them down, and they were writing back saying your short story was shite and all the rest of it, but the other one was good, and they thought the other one was his, and the two of them got mixed up, and I was just like, so everybody in the jail and Edinburgh Freedom in the jail for Edinburgh doing Dumfries were sort of getting engaged, the first one. That was the first audience interaction. My house called Stanley, and like the government had issued this private school to be built in Pennywell, and we were all raging, and I managed to capture a bit on camera called the Murals Rebel, and Yoshi just started teaching me every day photography, and I don't know, I've never really put a camera down since then. I don't know. Show up at Midray, chippy, and I have a camera and nobody gives a fuck. It's normal, I suppose, like walking to the rest of the shop and saying nobody gives a fuck. I don't think you can do that if you want to me. It's not me personally, but I just think I'm talk to so many people and we work with so many people, kind of like at various levels.
Okay, so I'm actually a student from the University of Edinburgh, and we've actually just done a community profile on Muirhouse. So we came out to visit the community, and we gave what did we give today? Presentation, thank you. And in order to, like, because we've got to write an essay as well. Sorry, I have a really bad cold. I met Steph King, who, was he your dictionary? Are you still in touch with him?
Not now, no.
Not now. Because he was so helpful. I don't know whether you'd agree, like, he was such an inspirational character. And because I was just like, I know there's bigger issues going on here, and like the social workers were talking about drugs, that they were the issues, but I need to get answers from the horse's mouth, not necessarily the users, but from like NEDAC. And so I was blessed with Stephen King, and what a name! But he gave me so much information, it was so useful. And you were saying, I'm doing a master's in social work. And so one of the things you were saying, you were still struggling with your panic attacks, but he, like, I don't know whether he gave you like the action pack of like how to deal with it, but I listened to like the audio of how to deal with panic attacks. I didn't know whether you had that.
got it, aye.
Yeah.
I've listened to it dead digitally since I've come to Bali,
Yeah.
because anxiety and that's the problem. So we do research and stuff like that, social work development.
Uh-huh.
Do you know anybody that would be able to do like a research thing on the shit that we do with Wider Media for like doing a public value thing, because we don't know how to do funding plan properly. We need to put something beside it that people are saying what we're doing is good. We need somebody to write up an evaluation to see there's the benefits.
I think if somebody, a filmmaker, would have said to me that he's out with Muir House, I want to make a film about Muir House and drug issues in the area, I possibly would have said no. I think the strength of this story is to have obviously the personal story of somebody who has gone through that experience, and like Gary, and give a unique perspective that is so genuine and so legitimate in a way, if I can call it that way. But what I was thinking about people like Stephen King, they're just the amazing work that these people do there. And yes, there is for sure, we see that a film like this, for example, and the experience of what Gary is creating around him with all the young people benefiting from, what art can do really to heal people, which is methadone, the money the drug dealers, as you call it, from the government, the best dealers that they are, the money that is being made through methadone programs, if that money could be invested in programs like what God is doing, can we see the society we could be living in? So yes, that's the challenge, and for sure, we are working towards making sure that the film is seen by the right people.
Everything else is completely biased, and it's not just biased that they hide information, they put other information and they just fucking constantly attack the poor, and that's me. That's the people I'm around, and it's 90% of the people I know. I thought everybody was voting yes. I would have fucking burned my parents and says, I bet you a day before that everybody would have voted yes. And then you would tell me that we walked on the street and it's a no vote. Looking around and there was no voters. How the fuck that happened? And I'll sit here and say I'm paranoid for smoking weed. Look, at the end of the day, man, this is a different country. I love people in England, I work with people in Birmingham and stuff like that, but shit, it really has to start changing. And nobody's going to riot in this country. It's not what we did, like in England and London where they rioted. Guys for the scheme that we jump about with, they're not going to riot, they're suppressed with a social control called methadone or called drugs that we say. It's illegal to take, and we're going to spend this much money jailing you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they make so much money on it. With our actions, they make so much money on it. The media and everything else is completely biased, and it's not just biased that they hide information, they put other information and they just fucking constantly attack the poor, and that's me. That's the people I'm around, and it's 90% of the people I know. I thought everybody was voting yes. And then you would tell me that we walked on the street and it's a no vote. Looking around and there was no voters. How the fuck that happened? And I'll sit here and say I'm paranoid for smoking weed. Look, at the end of the day, man, this is a different country. I love people in England, I work with people in Birmingham and stuff like that, but shit, it really has to start changing. And nobody's going to riot in this country. It's not what we did, like in England and London where they rioted. Guys for the scheme that we jump about with, they're not going to riot, they're suppressed with a social control called methadone or called drugs that we say. It's illegal to take, and we're going to spend this much money jailing you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they make so much money on it. With our actions, they make so much money on it. None of the police that I see in my scheme even come for the scheme.
We walk quite a difficult line as professionals, but also trying to be advocates for people and to, I suppose, advocate for lifting the pressure of people who are oppressed. What would you say would be the most helpful approach for us? We can go, and like you were saying about your not knowing about what's good for your family, like with regards to eating, and also we can potentially provide education on that, on drugs, mental health issues. We can go into a wide range of areas. What do you think would be kind of best as a professional?
I think what's needed is a national conversation without the Sun and the Daily Record having an opinion. I think you need a national conversation without the Sun, the Daily Record and the BBC having a single thing to do with it. I honestly do. You need to sit down with guys from Postal, guys from Nearhouse, guys from Fife, guys from Dundee, the equivalent in females, like birds are much more fragile than guys these days as well. You know what I mean? Like, you really need to engage with such a large section of society that's been lost since Thatcher fucked the whole country up. But we've got oil. Like, that's the truth. We've got money to make sure that this shit can be done. That's the hardest thing about all this. Like, there is money there. There was never a lack of money in the first place. They just we'll just reduce a certain amount and reduce the deficit, not even only you're bumping us. So the people like you that get paid to engage with people like me. But I think what's needed is the Permanent Secretary of State to sit on a national conversation, with no judging anybody for the past, as long as they're not sex offender. That's just my personal belief. But like, I think like, if you sit all these guys doing, the ones that have been caught, the Violence Reduction Unit, there's so many community organisations and the police that work with the Violence Reduction Unit that do good, and they believe in like speaking with people like me, and I believe in speaking with people like them, and social work. Like I make dramas and that for social work, but again, you need to have a big, massive conversation between all these people and ask them what's best, what can we do, and it'll come to the exact same time and the exact same thing every time. As long as there's a difference between Muirhouse and Morningside for education, as long as there's a difference between Posselt and Bearsden, then there's obviously going to be all these problems. This is a cause and effect. They're the exact same stuff that they do for divide and conquer, for the gap and inequality that there is. That's a question for you. How much problems are you willing to put up with because of the gap and inequality that we've got in Scotland? I'm not talking about Britain. I'm not talking about London. They're having that conversation in England. They're having that conversation, English problems. We've had a wee revolution up here. Let's forget about us.